Hey guys, welcome Muskie Road Rules podcast and Patreon. Guys, thanks for tuning in, and for you Patreon subscribers, thanks for watching. You know, it's been really fun. We've got a lot of good videos. We've been doing a lot of cool videos, and yeah, I want to keep those coming to you. If you notice, my background is different. It's more of a plain one. I actually had to move places that I filmed. The Wi-Fi where I stay is less than really bad, so I had to come in, and Matt at Crash's Landing is letting me use the back of the bait store. He's got kind of my own little studio set up here. The good thing is it's after hours, so I can get free Gatorade and water, or I just leave money on the counter and hope it's the right amount and he doesn't ban me from the store. So, but anyway, it's good. We've been fishing. Today has been hot. You know, got a lot of cool stuff. I'm going to have some fishing reports going here pretty soon too, now that a few of the guys are out. So, but tonight I've got a pretty cool deal. And this is a guy I met a couple years ago. And he's at a bait company for a little while. And I let him, I know that you guys probably think Greg, you always rig your own stuff. Yes, that's true. But he rigged up one of his baits for me. And I was doing it wrong. I was really bad at it. It was not you should not do the way I did it. And he rigged one up for me. And I'm telling you, I really like what I seen. And you're going to know what I'm talking about here in a second. I've got Tom Van Atta on here from Saddletramp Baits. He's in Pennsylvania. Where at in Pennsylvania are you?
Just outside of Pittsburgh.
Just outside of Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Yeah. Met you at Muskie Max. And one thing I'll say is you have the nicest hanging soft plastic baits I've ever seen with your little tab in there. I don't know how that or why that. What is that?
That's just a tagging gun like you would use at a store for clothes. But I needed a way to paint them, and I couldn't hold them. Like if I was holding them, there was always somewhere I was holding that I had to paint. And a lot of the hard bait guys use like a rod kind of thing, and I couldn't do that. So I figured kill two birds with one stone. I can display them like that, and it's a little cheat for me to hold them that way while I'm painting them and spin them around. And
yeah, shit, I like it. I didn't know. I mean, I just thought it. Well, here's a guy that worked at the dollar store once in his life, and he knows what he's doing.
Know how to hang some shit.
Yeah, no, I always thought that was kind of unique the way they were in the booth. But let's talk about it. You're doing Saddletramp baits. One, where did the name come from?
So the name was actually my old man. His whole life he was a truck driver, and that was his CB radio handle. They all have their little code names when they're on the radio, and I guess that was his Saddletramp, and it means a cowboy that never stays in one place for too long.
Oh, okay. I get that. I miss CB radios. I used to. I mean, in Eastern Kentucky, that used to be like I knew people that was their Friday night.
Yeah.
Was talking to truckers.
Yeah.
Very lonely, desperate women. That was the original Tinder.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, in Eastern Kentucky, if you were looking for truck drivers, I know several women that had rendezvous.
They hang around on the CB radio all night.
On the CB radio. Yeah. Oh God, yeah. When I was a kid, that was jammed 30 years ago. Oh yeah, shit, yeah. They it was a thing. And because my mom was always like, we ain't getting one of those dirty women.
Dirty women. You get the authentic woman on the CB radio. None of the
authentic, yeah, or the broke ass woman that can't afford a cell phone. I just use the CB.
Call me on channel 105.
105, baby. This is Pink Panther. No, I love it. And but my mom, not a fan of the CB radio or the trollops that used it to find men. Well, cool. And then how'd you come about getting into the bait business and doing this stuff? Where did the bait idea come from, and how long you been doing it?
Well, I mean, it started probably 2 or 3 winters ago. I was just kind of sitting. I mean, I kind of had the idea that I wanted to play with soft plastics for a while, and it was one of those things that like there was nothing that was going to make me do it. So I was literally, I remember I was laying around in bed the one day and I was with my girlfriend and I'm like, I'm going to order some shit and see if I like it. Like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it today. No reason. I'm just going to do it. And if I like it, I'll get more. And if not, I'll give it to somebody. And it was one of those things. I think I spent under $100. I ordered like an injector and a little like swim bait, like a 4-inch Kitech, if you know what those are.
Yeah, yeah.
Or a little mold for those. And I mean, within a day or two of doing that, I knew I was on. I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. This is going to be a hobby I'm going to have for a while. And that's it. Snowballed, just like fishing. You start with a rod and a lure, and next thing you know.
Oh yeah, no, you bluegill gateway fish.
Yeah, exactly. And that little swim bait was my bluegill gateway. And I figured I'm not going to start making musky lures, because I fish for everything. And I figured if I start small and I hate it, I'm not out a bunch of plastic, a bunch of money. You know what I mean? Because it's less material to crank out a little bass swim bait than versus a 10-inch musky swim bait.
Sure. No, I get it.
So yeah, spent a couple months doing that, just playing around with like trout worms and swim baits and making sure I knew how to cook plastic and mix it and do all that stuff. And then I think I saw you at Muskie Max right around the time I had decided I want to make a musky swim bait.
And this is kind of your original bait.
Yeah,
right there. Is that a 10-inch? Looks like a 10-inch.
Yeah, that's the 10.
If it isn't, then you have incredibly small hands.
Average, very average hand.
Yes. I was going to say, if that's a 6-inch bait, then my God.
I'm a little guy. No, that's a 10er. And that was actually, we went through a few renditions of it. Shout out to my buddy Brad. He helped me mold them all and do all the 3D work and stuff. First one had like a weird gill flare on it, and we took that out. We made the eyes bigger. So what you're seeing there, that's probably 2 or 3 renditions ahead of the first one.
Yeah, I've got some of the older ones, I guess.
Yeah.
And they didn't run as good as what you have now.
No, totally different bait.
What you have now, to tell guys on here, is probably one of the hardest kicking swim baits I've fished.
Wow.
It really, you can feel it in the rod. The whole body of the bait moves when it's rigged right.
It's rigged right.
Yep. That is, and that's what we're doing here tonight, is to show people how to rig, and then not only, basically show anybody how to rig an external bait. I mean, because you could do this stuff with any number of baits. Yeah. But for yours, I definitely thought, it does, because you sent me a video here of the bait in the water.
Yeah, there's a 6-incher.
And I mean, you can really see when you're pulling it, and it's got some, and you're reeling it straight in. It's got a lot of tail kick to it. I mean, just an absolute ton. And what I was surprised about is it has movement from, let's say, 2 inches back on
the whole body. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's because of the lack of any internal, all the harnessing's flexible and outside the bait, and they can wag the whole way up to the head. I mean,
yeah. And that's the one thing that me and the guys that have fished it with me have been impressed with. And let's get right into the whole dealio here.
Something cool there. I'm not trying to cut you off here, but you would think, like, so you had the first version and then you have the new ones that swim really good. And you would think that there was like some drastic change made to the mold or something to achieve that. And there really wasn't. Like, most of the mold changes were all cosmetic, and what you're seeing there versus the old style, it's pretty much all due to the blend of plastic and like the combination of the tail and the body. Before, I had made the baits out of one blend of plastic the entire way through, and it was like a softer kind of what I thought would make a swim bait swim good. And it did, but the issue was that having a soft tail, it wants to do that. It wants to push out of the way when it's coming through the water. So it's just like a crankbait. I mean, a crankbait runs because the lip's hard and because it can displace that water. And it's the same way with a tail. The tail's got to be hard, but if you combine that with the soft body, then it's just overload, like you're seeing there.
So you're mixing 2 different styles of plastisol.
Yeah.
So you still have the soft body, but you're hardening up the tail a little bit.
A lot of it.
Yeah. thus is what's creating this drastic kicking action in the water. If
Yeah.
you broke ass motherfuckers out there, you tight asses, subscribe to the Patreon. You can see this stuff. Good Lord. I know you're listening. Sorry, Mom. I know you don't like it when I call people broke ass motherfuckers.
She'll understand.
Yeah, she will. She's probably drinking now. But yeah, you can see that. So let's get right into it here. We're gonna just I'm gonna bring up some pictures. This is the bait. This is your 10-inch right here. Guys, that's 10-inch. Don't do like I did and order a ton of 8-inchers, thinking that what you had was an 8-inch bait, but it was technically a 10.
And have your buddies order 8s.
Yeah. And so now I'm like, and so now I have to. That's all right. They'll order more.
Yeah, no, those 8s work too.
No, they looked great. I thought that 8 looked really, really good. That video was what, of a 6?
The one you just showed was a 6, yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of action. I'm gonna have to send me a 6 too, so I could see that.
I love the 6. I intended the 6 to be pretty much like a bass and a piking kind of bait.
Yeah,
and that's what it was for me. And then I had all these local kids that fish the creeks and the spillways. They start cracking muskie on them. So I'm like, all right, I guess I got to muskify the rigging on that and beef the hook up a little. And now I guess it's a muskie bait. I got people. I've never caught a muskie on a 6 yet, but got a lot of people that have.
Yeah, no, I get it. With this and with the external rigging, another thing I liked about your booth is the fact that you had a lot of components.
Yeah.
A lot of shit for me to buy and lose. That is what I like. So like the rigs right here, you've got you have a 2-hook or a single hook rig. I'm sure that's dependent on the size of the bait.
Yeah.
And comes down to maybe what you want it to do.
Exactly.
And these external rigs, they are, you put these on, and we're going to have you rig some baits too, so guys can actually see how this is done. But you've got your 2-hook rigs here. You've also got so if you want a bait that goes deeper, you have your lead head screw ends here
in various different kind of weights there.
Yeah, and you got all different type of colors too. Mm-hmm. I think when I got stuff from you, I either just lead or black, whatever. I really didn't care on that, but you can get all different color heads and stuff. And I love these pigtails. I've made these. I've always called them pigtails.
Yeah,
the screw ends. I've made these by hand before on things, not with the weight, but just regular ones. And it is hard to freaking
sucks.
Do. Yes, it's like getting your blood sugar checked because you always stick yourself.
Oh yeah, that wire comes flying back around and hit you in the finger, and
I've made these little dudes like this, and what I like is you have that little nip that sticks out there that you can actually put in the bait.
Yeah, like a centering pin kind of.
Yeah, to start the screw. Brilliant. That is because none of mine ever had that, and I mean it looked really bad.
Well, that was something that took a long time to get to too. They didn't always look like that. That was, 10,000 twisted later that you're seeing those. They look.
So is someone making those for you, or are you making?
Not me. That starts as AFW toothproof wire, and I cut it down and bend it and twist it.
Do you have a machine doing that for you?
My hands.
Oh my god,
it sucks. Yeah, that's like quite an endeavor when I'm doing screwballs and corkscrews. I try to get that. I set aside a week and I get that out of the way and try to not think about it again the rest of the year.
I'd shoot myself.
That would be so what you got there, the little 6-inch, I think that's like 190-pound toothproof wire. So pretty much like your traditional leader wire. So that's not that bad. But then you start getting up into the 8 and you had the 10-inch screws. You're talking like bucktail wire. Spinning that, oh my god, yeah, your fingers are sore after that.
Oh, gross.
Yeah.
And then you've got which I love these. These are great. I think anybody that fishes soft plastic baits of any kind should always have these.
Yeah.
And what I'm looking at here is the screw in weights with the pigtail end on them that you can twist into the plastic. A lot of bait people, a lot of bait companies these are starting to get more popular. I see other people making them.
Definitely.
But these babies are great for, it doesn't matter what soft plastic you like. You can always use these little components, and
then you can take a lure and make it do anything you want to do. I mean,
sure.
If you want to, like, it'll teach you a lot too about where to put those weights in order to make a lure do something. It's good stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, these things can work if it's plastic. So if you have a bulldog, you can screw these right in there. If you've got a Medusa, if you got a Red October tube, you can screw these right in. Now, a tube, they don't hold quite as well, but you can still play with it. So these screw-in weights, man, those are nice.
I always got a bunch of them on me.
So I'm going to have I got a new screen I'm going to bring up here.
Okay.
And it makes and then we're going to show, let's talk about some rigging here. Let's see. What have you got there in your hand? I'll be like the little guy. I feel like I'm on Wheel of Fortune when they're in the thing and they're trying to, after they spin or win, they have all that money. Like, they go through the room and there's like, the weird like ceramic dog or the coffee table or, a racist poster of Fred Sanford. That's what I feel like. I really like it. This is a dream come true.
Kind of hidden up there.
Yeah.
So I pretty much, what I got here though is everything you just mentioned. I got, if I can get them untangled, I got my 10-inch bait, which you order them. They come just like that. No hooks, nothing. I mean, I'm happy to rig them for you, but technically they come just like that, naked. I got my lead head, which I call the screwball. And I've gone ahead and I've attached my stinger on here. All the stingers, they attach via split ring right by the swivel. And
show that, I didn't show that on the other one, but the little keeper you have dangling.
Yeah, I call these rig keepers. They're on the site too. Basically, it's a soft wire. I mean, you can undo that little wire loop with split ring pliers or pretty much your fingernails if you got fingernails. It's not a weight bearing piece of wire, so I keep it real soft. But that just keeps that wire tucked up in the belly once you get the whole bait rigged, rather than that wire swinging all around. That's another point of contact with the bait. It just keeps it all streamlined and nice. But I usually put them on pretty much any of my rigs that have the dropper wire. So pretty much any of my 2-hook rigs, I put a rig keeper on. It's not going to make or break your bait, but it's just something you can do to help your cause a little. But to rig them, like you said, you have your little centering pin, as I call it, sticking out of the screw, and I'll look for the center of the bait there, and that centering pin goes in there. And your first few turns are kind of the most important. I'll make sure that screw's lined up, and as I'm turning, I'm pushing into the bait. If you twist the bait, like if I'm twisting the bait up onto the screw, it's going to stretch and it's going to twist the head and do all kind of funny stuff. So you want to hold that head stationary and kind of push and twist that head into the bait. And it helps to do this if you detach your leader. If you're trying to do all this with a leader attached, you're taking rigs around leaders and it's a big pain. So I'll take it off my line. But yeah, just pushing and twisting that the whole way up in until it's flush. Which I got right there.
Okay.
Now that I got that rigged up onto there, take my first hook and I'm going to hang it down and
now let's talk about this quick before you do that.
Yeah.
Which way should that tail be turned?
So we were talking about this a little before. When I made this bait, I was fishing it both ways. I was fishing it like this and I was fishing it like this. And I was telling people fish it either way. I've kind of gone with just this way now. I started painting them all this way with that paddle up, and people call this the shark fin, that pointy thing with that down. But like you were saying earlier, that just gets you a lot better action with that facing up, which I guess is kind of opposite from how you I mean, if you look at a Poseidon or a swimming dog, it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
So I guess this would be upside down, as I tell people.
Yeah, it is definitely, because I was trying to rig it what I thought traditional paddle down.
Yeah.
And it is amazing. No, I tell guys, it's amazing. I mean, you will be blown away by the difference with the paddle up. It has way more kick to it. It has way more shimmy, shake, wobbly deal.
It does. And like we were saying before, though, that the only time the application where I do like it this way is if I'm fishing with like tons of speed, and like truthfully, I don't care if the bait's kicking or not. Like I'm just trying to move something through the water fast and catch their attention. Because when I'm trying to fish it real fast like that, I mean, it kicks almost too much. Like I can't fish it efficiently. It's kind of like a slimmer, tighter package that way. But other than that, like you said, all the time upside down.
Okay, so rig it there upside down for me.
All right, so once you got your head in there, I'll hang my hooks down, and it's almost just like rigging any kind of jig. You find where that hook's going to go in nice, that top one, and I'll poke it in. I don't like to go in too far. I'll go just above the barb because that's less that's going to be tearing out of that bait when a fish pulls on it.
So you would say just the tip?
Just the tip. Correct.
Good. Yeah. Good.
So then the same deal with the back hook. Once that front's anchored in there, I'm going to hang that back hook down. And I was showing people this at the show. I don't know how you'll be able to see this here, but
I see perfect.
See that split ring, how it's not laying flat? If I give that a half turn, there. So that's my sweet spot for that hook. And same deal, just goes in just a tip. And then all I'm left with is, like we were saying, that without the rig keeper, see how that wire just wants to kind of hang down. And I fished them for like a whole season like that, and they work just fine, but kind of ugly. So I take my rig keeper wire here, and that just pushes right into the bait. And that keeps your wire up there nice and neat on the belly, and you're left with like a nice streamlined package. Now fish hits that all pulls out, and you're pretty much fighting the fish on a quick set sucker rig.
Yeah. The other thing, now, do you have a shallow one there?
I sure do.
Okay, now this is the one that I've been throwing here lately, that I like, is a shallow rig, and the difference is mainly the attachment, right?
Correct. So on your screwball, you got your lead head, your line ties upward, and on your shallow rig, it's a nose. It's like a straight on corkscrew. You're going right into the nose like you would a glide bait or something like that. And that, I tell people, that changes a lot of the way I fish it too. Now I know you said you were slow rolling them, but which is awesome. That's great. But I've always found that like without that attachment that the screwball has, that upward pull, I find that I have a little issue slow rolling these just because they want to kind of helicopter on me. But that's why you add the screw-in weights. Then
but I am adding the weights. Yeah, I run the belly weights, and I use the belly weight kind of as a keeper itself too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what I kind of did here too. You kind of wrap it around there.
I just screw it in and just put half of it under the, put it under half the weight, and it kind of holds it up there really nice. And
and that's so the shallow rigging, it's just an unweighted screwball, and it's just a different attachment, like I said. So rather than pulling that bait like you would on a screwball, you're always pulling it from the nose, like I said, kind of like a glider. So that right there lends itself to fishing more shallow in general, I think.
And then kind of show the belly weight there.
So you got your screw-in weight here, and like you said, that's just a matter of just screws right in there the same way your corkscrew would, all via a little pigtail.
Have you noticed position of the weight there affects the kick or vibration in the bait? Are you trying to put it more to the head, right in the middle?
So something funny we noticed, actually, if you really want to get even more kick, you can take this weight and kind of focus it toward the back of the bait more. And what that does, so when this bait's coming through the water, being that there's more weight on the head, the tail's going to want to kind of ride up a little bit. If you add some weight to the rear of that bait, it forces that rear down, and then it just kind of amplifies the kick almost. Because when it's coming through the water like this, that tail's trying to kind of get out of the way of the water. But if you anchor that tail down, if you bump that weight back a little bit, it kind of holds the tail down.
So
I figured that out.
So what size weight are you talking?
This is, so on the 10, I'm usually using my big size. I think it's a 3/5 ounce. And on the 8, I'm usually using the 3/10. There's not a whole lot of difference between the two other than the size of them. The big weight kind of sticks out of the side on the 8s. But
now,
what's that?
Now go ahead and finish what you're saying, because I'm dumb.
No, it's just that's the weight. Depending on where you put the weight, it's all entirely up to you. I mean, on the shallow rigging, actually, if you like we were kind of talking about before, you can change what a bait does depending on where you put the weight in it. So if you load your weight forward on the shallow rigging, that bait's going to hit the water and it's going to want to dive nose down. If you keep your weight centered on that bait, or you distribute weight a little bit in the head, a little bit in the tail, that hits the water. And even though there's more weight, it's falling horizontally. That might slow your fall rate a little bit. So there's just a nitty of things you can do with them, depending on where you put that weight and how much. And
so do you run 2 weights on them quite a bit?
sometimes, not often, honestly. On the shallow rigging, I usually throw either one screw in or a couple of those nail weights. Like I was showing you, I'll put a couple of them in the little baits. The 6 and the 8, I use mostly nails.
Okay, show those nail weights.
I don't know if I have any sitting here with me.
All right, well, guys,
just a traditional like bass nail weight, but I make them up to ½ ounce.
Where would you put those? If you put a nail weight in there, where would you put them?
The only thing important with the nail weights, you can put them anywhere along the bait, but you want to, if you drew a lateral line with your imagination, you want to keep them below that lateral line, because the whole point of that's for keel weight. So if you just jam a nail weight up through a bait, you're adding weight to the bait, but you're not really doing anything. You want to keep that weight. Does that make sense? Like below the lateral line, because no matter what, that bait's going to want to right to where that weight's located. The same deal with the screw-in weight. You're at the ultimate bottom point on the bait, which is why it's like kind of the optimal belly weight.
So where would you put those nail weights in that bait, holding it up there?
I usually go right in through the butt, honestly. I find a gap where there's no hook point sticking in, and then usually behind this back hook, I'll just and make sure, like I said, try to keep it relatively level within the bait below that lateral line. And it's up to the user there.
Okay. So do you like those as much or less than the screw in?
On the 6, I use mostly the nail weights just because I haven't figured out a good screw in weight size for the 6 yet. It's tough to get a screw and a weight that's going to fit a bait that small. But the 8s and the 10s and the 12s, I'm pretty much all screw in weights. Yeah.
Okay.
The ½ ounce nails, I just came out with those. I'll use those in the 12s a little bit, but I don't have the 12s on the website yet. That'll be in the next coming weeks, hopefully.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like that. I like that.
A lot you can do.
Let's talk. What if you want to use a single hook?
Like a single treble. Yeah. So that's kind of a unique situation for me. I use that mostly when I'm pike fishing, just because I hate digging double trebles out of pike. And they're going to get it regardless. So the single treble hook, this is an 8 right here, and that's your single hook rig. And it's going to sit right about in the middle of the bait. And they, like I said, they usually head hunt these. So one hook, it's not like I miss more fish because I'm using one hook. But right now, the only one I have the one hook option for is going to be your 8. Because the one hook on the 10, that's a little, I don't know.
Yeah, it hides
out a little.
Yeah. Now, what size hooks are you running on those single hook?
So the single hook rig on the 8 is going to be a 5/0, which is the same as your double hooks on the 10s. Yep. And the single hook on the 6 is a 2/0.
Okay. And you find that it doesn't bother the action? Does it increase the action a little bit with less hardware?
It does a whole lot. The only thing, so if you notice this one, I was just saying about how sometimes we'll add that weight a little further back to keep the tail down. When you're using that single hook rig, there's not as much belly weight. The dual hook rig is just more stuff, so it's more weight on that belly to keep it keeled.
Sure.
So you definitely need a belly weight if you're running the single hook rig in that. And maybe cheat back a little bit just to keep that tail down, since you don't have those hooks back there holding it down.
Yeah. Now that one you've got rigged with the swimmer down.
The traditional, the old way. And I fished them like that for pretty much all. I was worried at first, so I caught the first few fish upside down, and I'm like, shit, I'm never going to be able to catch one right side up. So last season I used only right side up, and every fish I caught last year was right side up. And then this year I made the switch to the plastic blend, and suddenly I'm back to upside down.
Yeah.
So if I come off as wishy-washy on my own baits, I don't mean to sound that way. I'm learning stuff just like everyone else is, honestly.
I get it. Get it. So let's talk a little presentation. I'm going to bring up, let's see. We're going to go to a different screen here. We're going to go to this. And I like this. I think I have sound in this video. I like how you start this video right here.
All right. Let's go catch a muskie.
Just like, you know what? Might as well.
So that was a day of crappie fishing. It was so brutally hot. I'm like, I'm not going to waste my time muskie fishing right now. I'm going to go have some fun in the shade.
Yeah, you just pull up your bobber and you're like, yeah, you know what? Let's just go catch a muskie. It's time. It's 11:30. I'm good. So here you are. You're out on, where is this?
This is Pymatuning Lake in Pennsylvania and Ohio.
Okay. Why the hell are they only allowed 20 horse motors out there?
Well, so the one end of the lake's real stumpy, and I'm pretty sure people would kill themselves if they were out there on 200s. I don't know. That's the only reason I can think. I'm sure there are real reasons, but
I doubt it.
Yeah.
But here we go. Let's see what happens. It looked like it took you a little later. It looks like it's into the evening now.
Yeah, well, yes, it got started when it was cooling down a little.
There you go.
And
now
like
you're just fishing that like a bucktail.
Well, so when it hits the water, yeah, like right there, I'm casting up into like 2 or 3 feet of water. So it hits the water, and I'm trying to get it on a path back to me before I start all my fanciness. But you'll see that retrieve the whole way in. Like, don't be afraid of speed. I'm pretty much fishing it like as fast as I can. Like I'm pop, I'm catching up, pop, catch up, pop. Like your only pause is you reeling on a high speed reel to catch that bait. This is now, granted, this is on a screwball, so this is a different configuration.
And you're giving it pops and pulls.
Yeah, a little pop. Now I'm catch up, maybe straight retrieve it for a little. And then when you get it near the boat, kind of like a crankbait, I'll go into that straight retrieve. I didn't get to that there.
You were interrupted.
Yeah. But I find that 99% of my hits come right on that time when you're catching up to that bait. You might feel like a little tick on the way back to that bait, or you just might not feel the bait when you get back to the bait.
Yeah, no, I
very rarely feel the hit.
I get it. It's fun netting by yourself, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's lovely. I come from the bank fisherman background, so I've done it from the bank a little. It's nicer in a boat.
Nice.
There you go.
And that, I think, was the white 8-inch, I think, on a 5/8 ounce screwball.
Yeah. Dandy. So, on those, I mean, it's not the traditional, the way you're fishing it. I'll put it up. Let it play there again. It's not the traditional swim bait retrieve of, just a straight, nice, steady retrieve. You're able to get that bait to really kick. And I would assume, because this thing's got so much kick, action, wobble, that helps keep it up a little bit anyway.
Oh yeah, I can keep it up above all the like here. I think I'm in at the boat probably 6 or 7 feet of water max, and I'm throwing up in shallower water, but. That's one of the nice parts about fishing it on the screwball is when you're using the real hectic retrieve like that. So you think about where the line's coming off that bait. If you give it a couple good whaps and that bait ends up upside down on a pause, as soon as you come to contact with that bait again, you're righting it. You know what I mean? Sure. So even if you give it a real hard whap and it ends up completely cockeyed, the next time you're tight with it, it's back to normal.
Yeah.
That's one advantage over the shallow screw.
Yeah. No, I get that. I think I ordered some screwballs from you last time, so I wanted to try that some. You'd put one in the last order, and I played with it just a little bit. Our problem right now is our water's so muddy in areas, and I don't even want to talk about the rain they're talking about this week. I mean, it is. I mean, you talk to one weather channel, they're just you're dead.
Yeah. That's all this week's been for us here.
Yeah, no, we're supposed to get, I mean, hell, there's some areas of Kentucky that they're talking could get 13 inches of rain.
Ooh, okay, that's a little worse than us.
Yeah, no, let me try to get this. I went blurry there, and most people would think, oh, it's better. But it's It was driving me crazy. So, and then here's another video of you. I'm not sure where. Let's bring it up. Let me
Okay, so this is the 12. These are going to be on the site hopefully in a week or two.
These are 12 inchers?
This is the biggest size, the 12-inch.
Okay, you're fishing some really clear water.
Yeah, it's Canadian
there
water.
we go. I'm on. Crushed it. Oh my god.
And same deal with that. You're just, I mean, it's a bigger bait, but you're same deal.
I was burning the shit
Pop,
out of that.
About as, I mean, a Tranx 500 high speed, about as fast as you can pop it and catch up to it.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know yet. I'm gonna have to go around the boat and meet you.
Yeah, this fish
That's gonna be if you meet me over where Luke is.
Get out of the way, Luke. God damn it.
That's Luke's boat.
Oh, he's off. Oh, no, he isn't. No, he isn't. He's right here.
That fish made a beeline right toward the boat. If anyone wonders about the rigging, we tested it against the meanest.
Well, if you notice too, the rigging is out of the bait completely, and the bait's just a flopping.
Yep.
So.
Oh. Dude, teleporting muskie. I couldn't go at him any earlier than that. Luke is excited, dude. You're
so that's a 12er, and I think that's like a 1 1/4 ounce screwball.
Yep. Now you'll be able to get that bitch.
There we go.
There you go. How big is that fish?
I think that was 46 or 47, maybe.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a dandy.
It's nice, small for there, but
Yeah.
that was
See ya.
second 12 fish on a 12, I think.
A lot of heavy breathing. I enjoy
No,
that.
that one kicked my ass probably harder than any fish ever has. I've never been that out of breath after a fish. I don't just.
Yeah, no, so that's a 12.
That's a 12.
And so the 12 is going to be basically the same thing, just bigger, right? You just
Bigger,
still making the tail, using the tail a little bit harder, and
yeah. So that's the whole reason the 12s aren't up at the moment, is because I don't have the tail molds for the 12. But as of like today and yesterday, that'll change, and now I just got to get them made. And
okay, so you have the mold. You have the mold now.
I have the mold, but it's just the bait only, so I can't pour the tails independently. So I mean, they still work. You're just not going to see that drastic, crazy tail kick like you would on the other side.
Oh, okay. No, I get it. Well, that works. Now, is that a screwball head in this?
It sure is. That's the 1 1/4, I believe. And now the cool thing with the 12s is that the biggest screwballs, the ones for the 10, they're going to fit the 12s. Like, I'm not going to have to make a new screw size. You're going to be able to use the 10s and 12 screws interchangeably.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now, and then you told me at the show, and I seen some of your pictures. At night, these have been pretty good for you.
Yeah. So one of the things we do at night is, I mean, it's no secret now. Everyone knows you can add your little blades out front. I think this is a Duke's Dozer. I forget what he calls these. I think like the shit, he's gonna kill me. I forget what they're called, but he makes them. It's a little attachment. You can get the hairpin style, or like the safety pin style, or the straight inline style.
Sure.
And yeah, that's how we actually caught the first muskie. The 52.5 was on double 10s out front of a 10-incher at night.
Gotcha. Now
that was another thing where I kind of got worried. I was like, I'm not going to be able to catch any fish without blades on my baits. So I forced myself to fish them without blades, and I'm like, okay, we're good. We can still catch them.
So let me ask you this: by putting the double 10s out there in front, did you notice the tail affecting the swim of the bait or anything like that? Was it taking too much water or no?
No, not especially if you rig it upside down. That was one of the places where I really started to lean toward the upside down rigging.
Sure.
Because for some reason, like with it rigged right side up, like you said, the blades like move too much water, and then the bait wants to like get behind the blades and do nothing. It just kind of like wants to hang there.
Yeah, it gets in that. It's like a vortex.
Pocket, yeah. Yep.
Created from those blades.
Yeah, rigging it upside down, I get pretty good action, especially on a slower retrieve, like conducive to night fishing and blades.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even think, as hard as these things kick, I don't even think you need blades at night.
I don't think so.
Because I've caught them on. I mean, I've caught so many muskies after dark, and I've caught a ton on bulldogs and Medusas. You know, as long as it moves water, they'll find it.
Yeah.
And I don't think you have to have. Now, there's times that yes, that
Sure.
big vortex, all that crazy shit under the water is exactly what they want. It's exactly what they need. But there are some times where subtlety, for me, when I was fishing Minnesota, some of the Minnesota lakes, in June, the only fish I could catch after dark were on bulldogs. Super subtle. Like they wanted it. They did not want blades. They did not want anything. And this is probably pre musky swim bait time.
Okay.
And this would have been like 09, 10, 11. Kind of pre any of the swim bait stuff. Maybe the swimming dog had come out, but I think it was still pre that. And they were, just a regular old black mag dog or pounder. And that's what we caught. Yeah. And, go ahead. No, I was just going to say those baits, the thing is I don't think we realize, and the fish can definitely tell, but how much water like a pounder or a big hunk of rubber moves. And I think that's a big key a lot of times.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That was one of the big lessons I learned right off the bat with mine. So we caught the first one, the 52.5. That was on like as rudimentary as it gets. I mean, it was like before I had learned anything. I mean, I had no business even making baits at this time. And we were catching fish on them, and that kind of taught me that as long as you're making that chunk of whatever it is move like a fish, that like we get so hung up on those little things, like it has to vibrate, it has to do this, it has to. Well, the fish, I mean, it was literally at the time it was like a fluke. The tails didn't move. I had a hunk of plastic, and I was just jerking it through the water, and fish were eating it.
Yeah,
because it was up to the user to impart that, like become the bait fish, and
sure. No, I totally get it. I do. So Tom, let's how can people get a hold of you to buy some stuff? What's the best way to do this?
Well, I'm on all the socials, the Instagrams and the Facebooks and all that, Saddletramp Bait Co. And then there's the website, which is probably the best way to order. And there's a contact form on there. If you guys don't have social media, that's saddletrampbaitco.com. Should be easy.
Yeah, no, that's how I ordered them, and it's very, very easy. You've got a great website. I did it on my phone. Normally, I fuck it up constantly, but I did. I was able to pay with PayPal. You're the first person I was able to pay with PayPal. I've never figured out PayPal. I'm such an idiot when it comes to
I am too. You would expect it to be better for a younger guy with computers, but no.
No, well, I'm at the point of like, I'm still at the point of you pull the Nintendo thing out, blow on it, push it back in. That's how I try to fix everything.
You brought up a good point there. You were saying how you ordered, and I had a note in my phone. I kind of wanted to pat you on the back there, because like I've been around the block a little bit, and I'm not going to throw names out, but I've had a couple people kind of like solicit me for give you a compliment and expect you to just like send them shit. And you never did that. I mean, I almost fell out of my chair when I saw the order pop up the first time for Gregg Thomas. Like there was no,
I always order.
And that's super respectable, man. That is something that I think a lot of people should respect. And as a small bait company like me, like $100 hit's a big hit for me. So
sure, no, I try to at least pay somebody something. Or if they don't want to take money, then I it's whatever. But I always offer to pay. I mean, if I want it, I'm going to pay for it.
Yeah.
And I liked your stuff. I liked playing around with it. And I think it's going to do. Yeah, I think we're going to get some fish on it this year. I want to try it up on Lake of the Woods. I think it's up there, especially some of the straight retrieve stuff and the stuff. A lot of, I fish up there a lot of shallow water, but I'm exploring deeper and deeper every year. But I think the shallow rig stuff up there would, like I said, they like the swim baits up there, but I don't think they haven't seen that vibration, and that's kind of what I'm curious about, just to see how that vibration goes. Yeah, and I will dispute that charge on the credit card anyway, so don't worry.
Perfect. Good. Yeah,
you'll get it. Don't worry. No. I'm
so excited that you're excited about them.
I really like them. I really think it's kind of a neat thing, and I encourage guys to go out there and play with it, and but I do encourage guys, if you do this, make sure you get a rigged one. Okay?
Yeah, or get in contact with me. I knew taking this on, I was going to have to kind of become an educator too. Like, I can't just throw someone a crankbait and say, here you go. Like, I kind of got to, at the booth, even it shows, I got to show every single person how to do it. So
yeah, I mean, trust me, Red October went through that for 20 years.
Exactly. Yep.
I mean, I was right there at the beginning of that with those guys, and they were always showing people how to rig stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And with yours, I would just tell people to buy a rigged bait, because then you see it's a monkey see, monkey do. Yep. You're going to be able to see how it's rigged, what he's talking about. Subscribe to the Patreon. God damn it, you could watch it. It's definitely a way for guys. And then it also, I mean, that rig you have, the external rig, nothing new about that. The pike fishermen in Europe have been doing that for years. All their stuff is external rig over there. And all your stuff, all those external rigs can be used, of course, in your baits.
Yeah.
But you can apply those to other things as well.
Sure can.
If you want to put it, any shad body that can be used on. If you're doing a sideways swim or something, there's some different things that you can do and stuff. So just the components, and hell, just order some of them screw-in weights. You can use those on anything.
Yeah, I told guys before, I'm not offended if you want to buy the rigging and not buy my baits.
Yeah, no, whatever. That's I get it. So I tell you what, Tom, I do appreciate you coming on here. This was fun.
Greg, thank you so much.
And we will talk to you later. I want you to stay on here for just a second, okay?
All right.